Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's European SharePoint, Office 365, and Azure Community webinar. My name is Ethan. I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Maxim, Cloud Insight Systems Engineer EMEA for Veeam Russia. Maxim is going to be talking to you today about 8 Microsoft Teams backup facts you need to know. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP, and our hashtag is #ESPC21. Don't forget to check out the Resource Center also. This is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. Simply visit sharepointeurope.com and click the content link at the top of the page. I'd like to take an opportunity now to say a huge thank you to our Microsoft Teams Week sponsors, Veeam. It's great to have their support for this exciting week. And you have a chance to win one of 2 €100 Amazon vouchers from Veeam. You can win by submitting your raffle registration on the page showed on the screen, or just scan the QR code. There is going to be 2 winners. The first winner will be randomly selected from the attendees of this webinar, and the second winner will be randomly selected from the entire list of Veeam's raffle registrants. Don't miss your chance to win, and winners will be randomly selected next week and contacted via email. Just to note, this week we also launched 3 incredible tutorials for the European Power Platform Conference. Wrap up your year in style by booking your super early bird ticket before Friday, 17th of December. You can find out more about each of these tutorials at sharepointeurope.com/European Power Platform Conference tutorials. You can join us tomorrow for our final Microsoft Teams Week webinar, Teams App Development and Introduction with Lee Ford. And after this morning's webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Simply type any questions you have into the questions window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. The webinar will also be recorded and added into our resource center, where you will be notified by email when it is available. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Maxim. Good morning, Maxim.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? All good?
We can indeed, Maxim. Thank you.
Great. So let me remind once again that you have a chance to win our one of vouchers. So here is so you can submit your raffle, and we will randomly choose first winner from the pool of registered to today's sessions, and the second winner will be randomly selected from the entire pool of registrants. So we will duplicate this slide once again, so you can take a screenshot, scan this QR code, and move on. Let me introduce myself, and this session is about 8 facts you need to know about Microsoft Teams backup. My name is Maxim Arkhangelsky. I'm based in St. Petersburg, Russian Federation. I'm Inside Cloud Systems Engineer. I'm here with Veeam for almost 4 years already. So that's a great opportunity to know you as well. I would gladly reply to your questions. If you have more questions afterwards, feel free to drop me a message via email or find your sales representative within Veeam who can reach out to me directly, and we can continue our conversation. So first of all, first fact, 7 reasons why you need to backup Office 365 environment. First of all, it's an accidental deletion. Probably all backup administrators are aware of it, and this is the most requested feature to recover data after accidental deletion. Next one, which is specific to Office 365, to Microsoft. It's a retention policy and confusion gaps. So by default, you mean when you buy software as a service, you mean that everything is protected. Well, Microsoft has a limited resources in their data center, and they have a limited retention on deleted objects and on archived emails and etc. So with Veeam, you can have protection set to any values, so you can keep the data even forever if you have enough storage. You can also keep the data in Azure Blob, which is kind of infinite storage, and keep all the data inside Microsoft Data Center. You can also keep the data locally, which will be a 3-to-1 rule when applicable, where you keep the data locally. So it's an offsite copy out of Microsoft Data Center. Internal security threats like departing employees or malicious insiders. So it could be also the case for your organization to take a look at backup solutions, third-party backup solution on top of Microsoft. External security threats, so probably you've seen some ransomware videos on YouTube, or these horrific states of emails when the hyperlink is opened and everything is encrypted. When you have data in your backup, you are quite safe on that part as well, and it's much cheaper than paying ransom to these security applications. Yeah, next one is legal and compliance requirements. So most likely you are GDPR compliant and you know what I'm speaking about here. So if you need to keep the data for longer period than it's stated under Microsoft retention policy, you are able to do it. Hybrid deployments and migrations is also the case. Vim Backup for Office 365 is not the migration tool, but in case you have on-premises Exchange, you can restore directly to your Office 365 organization. All workloads could be recovered. And seventh reason why is Teams data structure. So Teams data, I mean, not personal teams, but Teams like a group is kept in different locations, and we will speak about it a bit later. So it's the next reason why you need to protect Office 365. Here are some values. So it's a survey, which I would call a research, which has been done last year. In 2020, in 2021, I believe this could raise. And here we can see that software as a service admins against backup administrators replied, almost on the half of them replied that they need to be protected. So they buy Vim Backup for Office 365 and other solutions to prevent this kind of events like accidental deletion, preparation against cybersecurity attacks, malicious users, better restoration capabilities, for example, granularity, not just recovering from archive emails, for example, but to have a point-in-time state available of the data which resides on your local repository. So point in time is also available. Granular is also available, so you can recover not only entire mailbox, not only entire team structure, but granular items which it consists of. Internal policy, so if you're a large organization, your IT department is probably under SLA, and internal policy could be applied. Compliance and regulations requirement, centralized or simplified restore capabilities, so you can just delegate it not to Microsoft 365 administrator, but to a backup administrator who knows the retention policies and RTPO settings which are mandatory to be applied in your organization, and extend retention beyond built-in mechanism and as a part of migration process. And as far as you can see here on this slide, software as a service admins give more preference to backup Office 365 than even regular backup administrators in some cases, just because it's needed. It's stated under Microsoft structure. And here we will speak about the Microsoft data center structure and responsibility. So first of all, primary responsibility of Microsoft is to give you the uptime of their cloud service. It literally means that they have a data center which they work on and they provide you resources. But your data is still your data, and you control access to your data, which resides in Office 365. So first responsibility of your own is to control your data. Next one is data replication. So Microsoft will give you a data center to data center geo-redundancy, and you are responsible for copying your data to another location. In Microsoft, there is a recycle bin for sure. It's limited short-term data loss recovery, so it's also a versioning. I would put here a versioning, which is a built-in feature, but it doesn't react. So you should proactively react when you lose your data or you want to get some data back. So you set full data retention, you set the copy of the data, and you are also responsible for its recoveries. And it's a good thing because when you need to simply recover, for example, an email or a Teams data, you just spin up the console and recover it without any issues, without any support tickets, and etc. From the security standpoint, Microsoft is responsible for infrastructure level security, so physical security, logical, application level, and user admins controls, which are given to you. And here we go with your responsibilities. So data level. Data level is yours. So all accidental deletions, malicious insiders, applications which might be running inside your Office 365 account, this is your responsibility. This is your field of doing things. So you probably know what I'm talking about here. So external is also the case, not only internal. So hackers, malware, ransomware, everything is under your control. So Microsoft will not give anything about that. They have a Windows Defender for sure, which is applied to your SharePoint sites, and at some point you cannot have just simply access to the file under some conditions. For sure, you can configure your Office 365 environment, your SharePoint, that if the file is infected, you can get it back, but it's already infected, and I would probably recover it from the backup if I have it. And regulatory, so role as a data processor. To keep your data private, apply to regulatory controls, have industry certifications. This is Microsoft's responsibility. And you answer to corporate and industry regulations. So if you have some claims with government, they will come to you, but not to Microsoft. And at some point, it's a good point. Let's speak about Microsoft Services Agreement. So it's publicly available on Microsoft webpage under Service Agreement, HTML, and it's effective from June 15. I recently checked it like 2 days ago. And here I highlighted just 6 bullet points. So the second, number 2, your content remains your content and you are responsible for it. So it's stated in Microsoft Service Level Agreement. Bullet 4, using services and support. And subpoint, ending your services. So when you end up your services, here I have highlighted it. Microsoft will delete your data or your content associated with your service. And same applies for disabled users in Active Directory. So if you disable someone in Microsoft 365 environment, his data will be permanently deleted after 30 or 60 days. Service availability. So Microsoft doesn't give here any numbers, so they just strive to keep the services up and running. And it's a good point because it's working most of the time, but sometimes there is an issue and you should react. Your data is your data, you should react and recover the data. Let's imagine the situation when you are under a stressful conditions, like you have a deadline to provide some Excel to financial department or to another organization, and you cannot just simply get access to Office 365 environment. So in this case, you have backup. You can recover this file with the latest state, edit it and send it within your email provider. So Microsoft recommends that you regularly back up your content and data that you store on the services or store using third-party apps and services. So third-party apps is Vim here. Fact number 3, Teams data is not self-contained application. That's for sure true. And here is the application layer. Exchange Online, contacts and calendar meetings, SharePoint Online, Teams files, tabs, OneNote saved in SharePoint, and OneDrive for Business is chat files. So actually, you have this kind of complicated structure, and you should back up everything, and you should recover it partially, probably, until you have Vim backup for Office 365. So we keep the data in one source. It's a repository. So we keep metadata and configurations and all the data from these items in Vim Backup for Office 365 on the Office 365 itself. So it could be a virtual machine, a physical machine, and you can also attach any external storage you have. It could be an object storage S3 compatible, or Azure Blob, or any other object storages, or it could be a local storage on your premises. So in version 5, you can backup Teams configurations, for example, settings, members, and Teams structure, restore. So backup is the first step, and next step is restore. So restore with granularity, including Teams, channels, and tabs, and you can enable some automation for restore efficiency. So there is a RESTful API. You can integrate it in your, for example, Service Desk portal and just trigger something from there. Fact number 6, purpose-built Teams backup provides effortless control. So Vim Backup for Office 365 gives you full visibility over Teams data. So we have an integration with Microsoft API, and this is how we get the metadata from the source for easier recoveries. You can backup Teams objects, including channels, settings, applications, tabs, and components. Backing up Teams is often needed when with flexible storage options. So Teams and SharePoint are quite heavy, so you most likely have no resources to keep it on your premises, or you don't have any cloud strategy to proceed. So you have some options to keep the data locally, to keep it in Azure Blob, Amazon S3, IBM Cloud, on any S3 compatible storage appliance, which could be a software-defined object storage, which is just simply installed on the regular server, and managed service provider is also an option. So Vim has pool of service providers, which will give you an external location, a disaster recovery location for your Office 365 data as well. So no matter which strategy you are applied to, I think you are covered. And you can drop me a specific question in the chat if you would like to check if the storage you have is supported. The next one, Teams data recovery is a must. Fast and easy Teams data recovery is a must. So we have a Vim Explorer component, which goes in a bundle together with Vim Backup for Office 365. So you don't need to install anything on top. So it's just the viewer of the backup contents. And there is an analog of e-discovery. So you can search for items within some metrics, for example, when message has been created, from whom it has been received, and same applies for SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams data. So there is a list of available metrics within which you may search. And you can recover anything almost anywhere. So there are a lot of recoveries. And when we released Teams backup in version 5, this value has been increased to 40 ways of restore. I would say they are all about the same. We will see the slides and check if it's about the same or not. But yeah, let's move on. So yeah, e-discovery, like I mentioned, if you would like to quickly search across your backups, you have advanced find functionality in Vim Backup for Office 365, which gives you a capability to granularly search items across Teams components. So criteria are categories, fields, and different conditions. So there is a logic on top of that. It could be and, or, so you can play with it and test it out. So e-discovery is really efficient, and most likely you use it in Office 365 environment, so you can apply it for Vim Backup for Office 365 as well. So it's a quick search. You can find conversations and easily recover them. Now let's speak about the structure of Vim Backup for Office 365. So you have Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, and Microsoft Teams, which are connected to Vim Backup for Office 365. And you most likely have some on-premises infrastructure as well if you're just moving to Office 365. So it could be Exchange and SharePoint on your premises. They could also be attached to Vim Backup for Office 365, and you can collect backups to any locations. So it could be a cloud-based offering by your cloud systems. So it could be object storage in Amazon, in Azure Blob, and IBM Cloud. S3 compatible is also supported, and there are a lot of cloud vendors who provide US3 compatible object storage, for example, Wasabi. And on premises, you can keep data on your local storage, but please avoid SMB file shares. So most of NAST boxes already support iSCSI, and if you attach the same box with iSCSI, it will be totally fine. SMB protocol is just simply not stable, and I would not recommend you to go with it. S3 compatible, like I told you before, it could be any software-defined storage which is installed on a regular server. Comparing local storage option with object storage options, within the local storage, you get 30% of space savings comparing to front-end amount of data. With object storage, you get around 60% of data saved when collected. And about Restore. So we have Vim Explorer for each workload, for Exchange, for SharePoint, for OneDrive, for Teams, and you have options to recover to the same location, to different location. You can send items via email, you can save it locally on Vim Backup for Office 365 server, you can export them, and there is a self-service restore option available to you via service provider. In next version, we will also have a web UI for self-service capabilities for your end users. So it's something from the future, but it will be there early next year. And here are famous 40 ways of recovery options with Vim Backup for Office 365. Just like I told you, you can restore. So for OneDrive, you can restore users, you can restore Exchange items, you can restore Teams. So there are a lot of restore words here. You can save items as an attachment, as a local files on Vim Backup for Office 365 server. You can email them as an attachment. So it's just multiplied by 4 workloads we protect. So you can take a screenshot and take a look at it afterwards. I will not speak each and every line of this slide. And next part is demo time. So let's take a look how this product looks like, and then I will move on with my presentation. Today it boots up fast. So I hope you can see my screen. If you don't see anything, feel free to ping me in the chat, but I can't see any remarks that it's not there. So I assume it's there. So this product looks really familiar to guys who use Vim Backup on replication. So the structure is kind of the same. You have organizations, you have backup structure, which says about backend components, backup proxy, backup repository, and object storage repositories. So backup proxy is the server which is responsible for downloading the data from your Office 365 environment. Backup repository is the component which is the storage layer, and object storage is object storage layer. You can have as many components as you need. So if you would like to download Office 365 data to several locations across your data center, for example, you can use several proxies and multiple repositories to achieve this. If you would like to keep different retention for different items, for example, I have this default backup repository. Let me move on here. Yeah, here is the retention policy. So here, this is the repository which has retention already built in. So keep forever, like I told you, it's also an option. If you have enough space, then you can use this as a rule to keep the data maybe for just specific users, for headquarters, or for something important. If you have a pool of, well, users for whom you would like to keep the data for 1 year, for 2 years, for example, this might be students who always come to your camp and then move on with their career. So you can have another retention for them. We have 2 levels of retention. I will not speak about this today, but basically you can download everything from Office 365 environment, or you can download items which are not older than, for example, 3 years. So you can have multiple repositories, multiple backup jobs. I will come back to multiple backup jobs. I just would like to move on to history. So for maybe audit purposes, we have this history tab available, and here you might see all sessions initiated. So who initiated this session? So this is my colleague from Nordics region, and what has been recovered. So some post has been recovered, and backup job log. So it's here. So you can see that everything went fine. Here is the processing rate. So processing rate depends mostly on Azure services. Sometimes you are throttled by Microsoft because this account tries to download everything, and Microsoft prevents this extra network usage, so they can throttle your account, and we will speak how to prevent it a bit later. So once you have your organization connected, so here I have a regular Office 365 organization. It could be a hybrid one as well. There are two types of authentication, like modern authentication and basic authentication. So you can use any applicable for your data center. So here is just the basic, and I have a username and password, and that's it. So you will have your organization. Next step would be to configure a backup job. So since we speak today about Teams, I will show you Teams backup job structure. You can have as many organizations set it as needed. You can have as many backup jobs. You can have as many repositories. So for this specific organization, what is here? Here is the added organization already, this one, and only Teams enabled. So this backup job will process just Teams objects. You can add here on top of that if you would like to also backup other workloads for some specific users. We can drill down into details of the organization and choose like 4 users and specify all workloads for them: Mail, Archive, OneDrive, and Site. And Teams is already included. So we do not backup, well, we backup data which resides under personal Teams, but since we speak about Teams data, it's related to organization. Then we move on, and we can select objects to exclude. So on top of that, you can exclude someone from your organization. You can also add groups here. So if you have some groups under Office 365 environment, this could be applied here as well. Then we set up a proxy, which will be responsible for downloading the data, and backup repository with the retention already applied on it. Here is the schedule. So important thing, there is a forever forward backup chain. So first run will be full backup, all data will be downloaded, then only set of increments will be downloaded. So if you have some crazy setup like 5,000 SharePoint users with terabytes of data, first run would take some time. But increments are less stressful for Microsoft and for your environment. So it will be a bit faster, not a bit, but in times. Speaking about the schedule, so you can run this schedule specifically for this job. So I will backup Teams daily. I can also run backup each 5 minutes. In this case, my increments will just be smaller. You can terminate the job during the backup window you specify here. So if you don't want to stress out your Microsoft environment during working hours, you can just deny this job from processing. And that's it. So you have deployed your backup job. You have deployed your backup repository with the retention applied. How you can recover the data? So it's simple. I click the right mouse button to my entire organization, and here are my options. I can explore latest state of Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. I can also explore point-in-time state of Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. So let's move on with point-in-time state restore of Teams objects. Still, you can pick here, you use the latest available state, or you can use the following point in time. Point in time is based on my schedule. So I make daily backups. Probably this one was done by accident or manually, but you can go and see your data structure on any date. So let's take a look at this November items. I will show all versions, and I will show items that have been deleted by users as well. I would like to mention here as well that this is not the Vim production team structure. It's my test lab, so there is not so many details and users or SharePoint and Teams objects to show you, but still the logic is kind of the same. So first of all, let's drill from the top to the bottom. So you can restore entire Teams organization. You can restore team entirely. In general, channel. you can restore entire channel, and we can drill down to specific posts and restore all of them. You can export them, you can save them, you can send it to specific email recipient. And we can also go here and see the messages. Yeah, and also recover them. So you can open them, you can export them to desktop, you can save them to desktop, you can save it, you can send it. So all the options available here. Files, so there are some files, and here is the versioning. So if one of my files would have a version here, you can view history and see previous versions here as well. But basically you can open it, you can view history, you can restore it back to production, you can save these files to Veeam Backup for Office 365 server, or you can send it. So for example, let's save it as files to my desktop. And one item has been saved, so let's check. So here is my folder, and here are my posts and their content, like from which team it has been taken and what it says. So it's quite flexible, I would say, for you to test it and see how it will work in your environment. Now let's take a look at the advanced search. So advanced find. So here is the post fields and file fields available, and for post fields we have attachment name. It could be not exactly, but starts with. It could be also created, in between, or yesterday, today, tomorrow, in last 7 days, last month, next month, etc. What useful is here as well. So if it has attachments or not. And let's take a look at file fields. So created, created by, modified, modified by, name, size, and version. So modified by could be not exactly the value, but if it starts with some value, it's also an option for you to add this. Well, we can add it to the list, and then we can proceed by adding these categories. I will not keep this up and running. I would like to also show you the Exchange restore options, because personal Teams data is kept still in Exchange user folder. So let's take a look at the December 2nd, and here I have more restore points just because I have a different schedule for Exchange job. We will show all items, and yeah, I click finish. It doesn't mean that I finished recovery. I just finished with the wizard, with this graphical user interface wizard. But here is the structure of Exchange items, and we can drill down to anyone. We can see his emails, calendar items, and here is the conversation history and Teams chat objects, which is empty in my case. But it would be there if there would be any data. We can check another one. No, nothing here. It's a test environment. In your environment, probably it will be more efficient here. There is also a button to compare items with production, so you can compare them with production and see the metadata, like when it has been modified, if it's so. No, I cannot see it. It requires connection. So you basically can see all the attributes from Office 365 related to this file compared to a backup file. So if it has been changed or not, for example. And I believe that's partially it. So in terms of licensing, so this is the most requested demand. How much would it cost? You can check with your sales representatives, with partners, or directly with Veeam sales. So this product is licensed per users. So there is no such thing like front-end data amount, number of repositories, number of workloads. So you just have a user protected, and this user includes all 4 workloads, so Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Exchange as well. There is no editions, so there is no standard, enterprise, whatever edition. So it's only one edition, and all functions are available for you in this product. There are simple reports, so you can take a look who is protected. If you have some old data which resides on your repositories, you can see this data as well. So old users who has been disabled in Active Directory, whose data you do not download anymore, you do not have it in backup job, this data will not require a license. So it will still reside on your repository, it will be recoverable, and it doesn't require a license, just the storage space which you probably have. That's why we have mailbox protection report, storage consumption, and license overview. So under license overview, you can take a look who is actually licensed right now and consumes it. So let's take a look at this report. Yeah, finally, here it is. So I have 22 licensed users with these two organizations, and here are they. So 15 for my first organization and 7 for this one. So what it means? It means that here I'll see only personal stuff. So public emails, public folders, they do not require a license as well. So only active users within your account. Yeah, and that's probably it. So I would like to return to my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I can see there are some already, and we will move on with the Q&A section a bit later. So let me spin up my presentation once again. Let's move on. So references. I've been personally working for Nordics region, and when I moved to cloud, I work currently with entire EMEA region, and a part of my job is to provide assistance to customers. And when I receive feedback, and I receive it in 99% of time, it's positive, and it keeps me happy as well. So you can check. So this is the real cases. This is not something from my colleagues. So it's a real customers who have different data centers. So up to 5,000 employees, small customers, so from 50 to 200, they keep their backups and say that it's simple and flexible, that it's solid and well-built backup solution for organization of all sizes. And yeah, your boss will love you. This is the perfect expression. So you can actually take a reference if needed within your sales representative. With Beam sales representative, we have this ability. Yeah. When I receive feedback, usually it's simple, it works, but it takes a long time to take the first full backup. Well, but when it's done, customers say that they're happy. So yeah, you can visit the sites, so TrustRadius and G2 Crowd. So I will keep it highlighted. We have large customers, so our product is being used for 6 million users almost. So this is the recent value, and since Q4 is quite difficult these days, so I think this value is already like 6 million users, and we have official statistics. Recently it has been 175k downloads of the product. So probably something of this list is recalls in your memory. So schools are there, US Air Force Academy, Metro, ambulance, St. John Ambulance, Zoological Society. So different areas, and this is very interesting how this product has been adopted by our customers. So yeah, what you can do to learn more and how to deploy this product actually. So we have this conversational Microsoft Teams backup data ebook. It's available here via this link, so you can take a screenshot once again and or just Google for it. So it's very useful with simple use cases, which gives the representative of the product in the ebook format. How you can set it up? So you can set it up for free for yourself. So you can have two options. First one is for free trial for unlimited amount of users. So you can download it, set it up in your environment, start using it. So minimum system requirements are 4 CPU cores and 8 GB of RAM, and it will be available it will be enough to download the data for 1,000 of users. So I believe it's more than enough. If you would like to scale, you can add more 4 CPU cores and 8 GB of RAM per each 1,000 of users. And Vim Backup for Office 365 with one and only unit can protect up to 4,000 users. Yeah, if you would like to protect more, you just add more proxies and more repositories with specific CPU and RAM settings, and it's scalable for up to 50K users. So it covers almost everyone. You can install it on Windows Server. You can install it on Windows 10 machine. You can install the entire Vim Backup for Office 365 product on the server within your environment, or within Azure, or within AWS, or on your premises within VMware or Hyper-V. And you can also download this product to your desktop and just have it as a connectivity point. So you type here DNS name or IP address. Here would be the port defined, which can be changed. And this connection will be secured and encrypted. So it's totally fine. Sometimes I have a question, how to protect users' data from seeing it by backup admins. So recently I've read a nice forum case about the encrypted Azure objects. So if Office 365 environment is encrypted, your backup admins would not be able to see this data like I showed you, like specific emails or etc. But this data can be backed up and recovered to the same location within your environment. The next one is the video, which has been provided by our marketing, and they asked me to basically run it. So just a second. I hope you will hear. With Vim Backup for Microsoft. So yeah, I would like to highlight here that we have capability of, you have a capability to deploy Vim Backup for Office 365 server from Azure and the AWS marketplace. You can deploy it on your own. You should just have enough licenses. And speaking about the second option of this free layer of Vim Backup for Office 365, we have a community product, community version. It's the full functionality of Vim Backup for Office 365, but license limitation is 10 users, but it's forever free. And if you, by any chance, will terminate the contract with Vim, all the data will be recoverable with Community Edition. So you cannot backup data, but it will be recoverable even if you don't have a license for this product. And now let's move on to Q&A section of this session. Yeah, sorry about the no sound on the video, but yeah, it just describes what it was on the screen.
Hi, Maxim. Thanks so much for a great presentation there. So we'll move on to the questions and answers part now. So if anyone does have a question to ask, please type it into the questions window now. And we have a few questions here already, so we will get started. So a question here, what counts as a user for getting licenses, and can different users have different permissions and access rights?
That's a really good question. So first of all, we don't rely on Microsoft licensing, and all accounts which you can back up, they can be backed up. So we don't care if it's A2, C3 accounts, and etc. And speaking about the granular permissions, so Vim Backup for Office 365 doesn't have role-based access control yet until the Web UI portal will be released early next year. So the only permission which is required is a local admin who will see all the data available within your Veeam Backup for Office 365 product. If you are a service provider and you would like to set up different organizations and do not give a visibility between each other, you can deploy this product on several servers and give access to these servers. So unfortunately, now there is no role-based access control. In next version, we will have this web UI portal where your users might log in within their Microsoft credentials, and they will see their backup data and they will be able to recover it. A list of complete permissions. Let me highlight this part as well, because it's a really good question, and yeah, I have this knowledge base article available. So the list of permissions, so KB2969, it literally states all permissions within all types of authentication, so you can just go across this guide and set it up. We have also a help center guide, which says about planning and preparation. So here are all used ports, required permissions, system requirements. So it's all there. You can just Google it via help center VBO, and you will reach the destination. So you can just screenshot it or remember. Yeah. And let's move on with Q&A. I hope I replied to a question.
Great, thank you, Maxim. Another question here is, in order to back up an account, do you need to have administrator roles? Or if they only wanted backups for one team, can they use the account with team owner only?
No, you need admin accounts.
Okay. So next question, Maxim. What's new in Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365 version V5?
So in V5, we have released more object storages. We have released Teams backup. Well, previously it was done by manually collecting items. So Teams backup gave us more use cases, and more customers accepted it, and it was the mostly awaited feature, and some performance improvements for sure.
Fantastic. And how, Maxim, is Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365 licensed?
Yeah, it's licensed per users, so all users you have protected. So for Exchange, it's simple. For SharePoint, it's more complicated. So all users within your organization who has access to a SharePoint site, not external ones, but internal ones, they have access to SharePoint site, so they should be protected. Same for OneDrive and Teams. So all workloads are included under one user license, and no matter which retention you apply to each user, if you protect his data, his license will be counted. So when you just simply add organization, no license counter is triggered, but when you keep the backup job running, it will process the data, save the data to the repository, and it will consume a license. If you, for example, delete this backup job and you don't protect anyone, this is a terrific case, but still, if you will disable all backup jobs and nothing has been downloaded from Microsoft environment within 30 days, this license will be revoked to a license pool. So this is the logic how it works.
Excellent. And next question, do Veeam backup versions automatically update? E.g., will V5 update to V6, or does it cost to update to a newer version?
There is no cost for update for a newer version, so that's a really good question. So update works like you can install a new distributive, or you can just simply go to the console and update it from here. So you can check the version here. So this is the latest patch. If you would like to update it, you just install update manually. So we will not update it automatically, because you might have running backups or you need something to recover. So there should be an operational window here. In the license, it's also included support, so 24 hours per 7 days support. So it's a really nice level, which is included in the license. So it's a subscription-based product, and yeah, basically it and all roadmap features will be included under this license. So if you buy it now, let's say for 3 years, commitment statement, you will save some prices for sure. You will save values because you've kind of fixed price for today values. It could be increased in future, but you have already purchased it and you will have all updates available within the license period. So yeah.
Fantastic. And Maxim, final question here is, when will V6 be released?
That's a tricky question. Well, version 6 should have been released in November, but there are a couple of features like backup copy job, this self-service backup portal. So backup portal is already kind of released. It's still under Q&A stage. So my personal estimation that it should be somewhere in February. We have a beta already, and I have provided 6 beta installations already, so I support them personally. So if you would like to participate, feel free to drop me an email and we can arrange it. But yeah, my personal estimation that it will be in February or in early March. But don't tell anyone from our product management that I told you this.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think that's all of the questions. So just on behalf of the ASPC community, we want to say thank you again for completing the webinar this morning. We really do appreciate it. And again, to our Microsoft Teams Week sponsor, Veeam, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for good questions, for the feedback, and yeah, I appreciate your time. And remind you once again that there are 2 vouchers available for you, so you can participate. It's not something which you should do on top. You are already registered, you are already there, so feel free to move on and have this lottery.
Absolutely. And I have just put back up on the screen with a chance of winning one of the 2 €100 Amazon vouchers. The details are found on screen. There's a QR code there. There's also a website link, so everyone get entering. And this is the end of the webinar then this morning. So thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.